So let's talk a little bit about posture. Optimum is to sit in the Vajra position, which is you put your left foot on your right thigh and then your right foot on your left thigh. If you can't do that, then just have your left foot on your right thigh and your right foot down. If you can't do that, then have your left foot tucked in and your right foot just outside of that. And if you can't do that, then sit cross-legged. If you can't do that, then sit on one of the meditation benches where your feet are tucked underneath. And if you can't do that, then sit on a chair. And the chair should be straight-backed, not padded and soft and comfortable. And your feet should be flat on the floor and your back straight. Okay? It may take some time for your body to get adjusted to sitting in meditation posture, because many of us haven't sat that way before. So it's good to do some stretching or some yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong or whatever you need to do. Exercise is really, really helpful for that. Sometimes it's just, the muscles in the knees or the hips or the back or whatever that go out. And sometimes it's just our plain old restless energy. Okay, I realized that during one of the early retreats I did, that I kept on having to move one leg and stretch it out. And it was more because I just had restless energy in my body than because it actually really hurt. Okay, so check when it's restless energy, check when it's, something hurting. You don't necessarily have to move the first time it hurts. It's good to develop some awareness of, when the body says it hurts. And then do you have to react immediately to that? Okay. And then start to watch between what is the physical pain and what is the mind saying, I'm going to be crippled for life if I don't move. Okay? Because very often, the actual pain may not be so bad, but the mind just goes totally bonkers over it. Okay? So that can be quite interesting and amusing to watch, because you're really sure that, this meditation session definitely is going to be the one that completely, puts you in a wheelchair for the next 20 years. Yeah, there's no way your back's going to be rehabilitated. There's no way your knees are going to ever, if you don't move them, you're going to walk around in pretzel position. In fact, you won't be able to walk. The mind makes up all sorts of stories. So try and differentiate those from the actual physical sensation that's happening. Okay? And it can be interesting to experiment with that a little bit. When there's pain, sometimes to observe the pain and try and pinpoint exactly where it is. Very interesting to try and, mentally draw a circle around, in your mind, where exactly is the border of that pain. Yeah, try that. It's quite interesting. Yeah. And another way to do it is to ask yourself, why do I call this pain? Or I say I'm in pain, how do I know I'm in pain? In other words, on what basis are we labeling pain? Yeah. Because sometimes what happens is there's a little bit of discomfort. We label it pain, and then we react to the word pain. And pretty soon we're not really paying attention to the physical sensation as much as we are to our concept of pain, and how debilitating it is, and so on and so forth. So it's interesting to stop that mechanism and just say to yourself, okay, I say there's pain. On what basis do I say there's pain? Why do I what is this sensation, and why do I call this sensation pain? It's a good question, isn't it? And so do a little bit of research on that. Quite interesting. Yeah, you can sometimes watch the pain as it moves. I had one friend who told me he was sitting and his pain was in his one shoulder, it was killing him. And then somehow it just completely jumped to the other shoulder. And pretty soon this one wasn't hurting anymore, and that one was killing him. Yeah. So it can be quite, just interesting. Keep your back straight, whether you're, sitting cross-legged or on a bench or in a chair, back straight. They say it can be helpful to imagine that there's a string pulling you up from here. Yeah, and I can see why in some of the Zen traditions the teacher often goes around and corrects people's position. I've been tempted to do that sometimes, because sometimes they start out like this, but sometimes they're so used to this that they just start out like this. And then it gets exacerbated. Yeah, so you really have to make sure that your back's straight. Your head's level, your chin can be tucked in a little bit. You don't want your chin lifted, because that's going to make you get distracted. Yeah, but you also don't want your head bent over like that. And then if you can keep your eyes open a little bit, it's very good. It prevents drowsiness and dullness, but your eyes aren't really looking at anything. They say to have them looking at the tip of your nose, but I don't know, I don't do that one. I just move it a little further and just down in the space in front of my legs, and then that can help you, avoid, sleepiness. But it also helps you learn to meditate while at least some senses are functioning. So then you don't make such a big difference between your meditation session and what happens after your meditation session. Okay, your hands, the right on the left, the thumbs are touching like this. Okay, your thumbs aren't slouched over like that, and your hands aren't like this in front of you. Yeah, but they're like this, and forming a triangle, and then that's in your lap against your body. Now, when you do that, then very naturally, there's some space between your body and your arms, and that leaves the air circulate. Okay? So you don't want chicken wings like this, but it shouldn't be like this either. Yeah? If you're sitting properly, there should naturally be a little bit of space here. And then they say to, your mouth closed and your tongue on the upper palate. I'm not sure where else you would put your tongue. Maybe some people have really big mouths and their tongue can wander around in it. But in my mouth, it's like on my... There's nowhere else to put it. But they do remark to make sure that it's there. And that's so that you don't drool. Okay? In case you go into samadhi, that you don't drool. Okay? What else? Yeah. So I think that should be okay. Then it's important at the beginning of your session to set your motivation, bring in love and compassion and the bodhicitta, so that you really place what you're about to do within the context of becoming a Buddha for the benefit of all beings. And then at the beginning of your meditation, remind yourself what your meditation object is, and bring forth your mindfulness and put it on that meditation object, and then remind yourself periodically, to use the introspective awareness to come and check and see if you're still on the object or not. If you're not, then you apply the antidote. Okay, so we'll get into that in a minute. Okay? It's good to in addition to your motivation at the beginning of your session, to take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha so that it becomes a Buddhist practice, and you remember that you're doing it, within the context of the Buddhist worldview and for the benefit of all sentient beings. It can also be very helpful at the beginning of your session, after you do refuge in bodhicitta, to do the 4 immeasurables or the 4 Brahma Viharas, and to do the 7 limb prayer. And those are both in the blue prayer book. Let's see where they are. 28? Okay. That's the short one on 28? Yeah. Okay, so you have the 4 immeasurables, you have the 7 limb prayer. 4 immeasurables help make your love and compassion, equanimity, and joy stronger. And the 7 limb prayer is for purification and accumulation of merit, which is very helpful before you meditate. If you want to do the Mandala Offering, you can do that as well. When we're doing the Mandala Offering in the meditation, we're offering the entire universe and everything beautiful in it, as well as our body, to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, in order to create merit, to create goodness, and to divest ourselves of this incredible clinging to our body and possessions and so on. When we do the Mandala Offering before teachings, like we have been doing here, then you should be doing it with a mind that thinks about the benefit of receiving teachings and offering the mandala to the teacher or to the Buddha as a way of requesting, please to teach me, and I am willing to offer the universe and everything beautiful in it without any attachment, without any sense of loss, because I want to receive the teachings because the teachings are so precious. Okay, so you should always have that kind of mind before you receive the teachings, not just, well, it's, time for teachings. It's strewn with flowers. Yeah, what are we having for lunch? But you should be really thinking about the value of the teaching and how fortunate you are to receive it. And then similarly, when you do the Mandala Offering at the end of teachings, also doing it as a way of thanksgiving. Now I've received these precious teachings, and again, I'm offering my body, speech, and mind, all my possessions, the entire universe. Because in comparison to receiving the teachings, all these worldly things are like nothing. Yeah, because these worldly things are not going to take us beyond samsara, but the teachings will. Okay? So this is really a practice of changing the mind so that we're focused on what is important. Yeah, so it's important if you do this practice a lot, that you focus on it when you're doing it and have that mind that's appreciative of the teachings. And then you can also do the verses requesting inspiration if you wish. They're on page 29. And so that, again, you're requesting the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas for their inspiration and blessings so that you can do the concentration practice and have it be fruitful. So making that request to them can be very, again, it's a way of making a connection, and they respond by sending streams of enlightening inspiration into you. Okay? So you begin the session in that way. Then you do your concentration, and it's good to do short sessions, 10-15 minutes. Take a stretch break, go back and do it again, take a stretch break, and so on. And then at the end, do the dedication verses, because you have, with a good motivation, created a lot of positive energy, a lot of merit, and you want to direct it so that it will ripen in your and others' enlightenment. In other words, you don't want the merit just to ripen in terms of having a good meal, or one good lifetime, or a nice boyfriend. You really want the merit to ripen in something that's really worthwhile in the long term. So you dedicate it in that way. Okay? Any questions so far? Yeah.
Could you show us how to do your hands when you do the mandala?
Okay. Okay. You take your two pinkies, you put your right pinky behind your left pinky, and then put your thumbs on your two pinkies. Okay. Then you take your two ring fingers and they stick straight up. I do this so automatically, I'm not used to teaching it. Okay. Then you put your right middle finger on top of your left middle finger on top of your right middle finger, so that it touches your right index finger, and then your right middle finger touches your left index finger. Okay. Now this is the universe. When we talk about the ancient Indian view of the universe, Mount Meru, there's a central mountain, kind of like, what is it? Mount Rainier. Okay, so that's your two ring fingers that are sticking out. Then there's 4 continents around it. So each place where you have fingers touching are 4 continents. Okay. And then you think within this, there's everything beautiful in the universe, especially everything you're attached to. Okay, so your house, your bank account, your sports equipment, your jewelry, your new clothes, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your family, your books, your house, everything you've always sat and dreamed about having, but tenfold in quantity and much more beautiful. And you offer it all, okay, without any sense of loss. Because this is the kind of attitude that we need to have if we're going to get anywhere on the spiritual path. Really, seriously, we have to have this attitude that's giving up the things that we're attached to. Because as when you study the Four Noble Truths, craving, attachment, is one of the central things that makes samsara keep going around and around. So unless we have a mental state that is unattached to these things, we're always going to be, trying to rearrange the world so that we get everything we want. And that's going to be a huge distraction. Yeah, because instead of being able to focus on our practice, we're thinking, how can I get a raise, and where am I going to go to buy these clothes I like, and I have to go to the gym to make my body look better, and I need to dye my hair, or I need to get some hair, and so your mind is continually distracted. Yeah, and then under the influence of so much attachment, we also create a lot of negative karma. We manipulate, we lie, we take what hasn't been freely given to us. Yeah, so then we create just more obstacles, more obscuration on our mind. Yeah, so we have to really learn to deal with, this incredible attachment that we have. And it takes a lot of practice, because everybody in samsara has attachment and, grasps at external objects and people. But, consumerism and materialism is our national culture. Yeah? If you're going to be a patriotic American, you have to consume more than your share of the world's resources. Because if you don't consume, the economy's not going to be good. Yeah? So we're taught that your manifestation of compassion in America is overconsume. Good for the country, good for the economy, bad for you personally because you're up above your head in credit card debt, but never mind. It's good for business. Okay? So we completely buy into this national ethic. And look where it's gotten us as a country, and then look at where it's gotten us spiritually. It becomes so difficult to practice because our mind's always, focused on something outside of ourselves that we're sure we need in order to be happy. Okay? So these practices at the beginning of making offerings, and especially the mandala offering, we're mentally giving those things up. It doesn't mean physically you need to give them, although it doesn't hurt to physically give. Yeah, but mentally we have to definitely lessen the attachment. So we think that we offer all these things. Yeah? And then when we use them, we think, they're not mine. I've already offered them to the Buddha. So when I use them, I have to take care of them. I can't just treat them any old way. And I have to appreciate them because they're on loan to me from the Buddha or from the sentient beings who gave them to me. Okay? So if we have that kind of attitude, then we take care of the things we use, even if they don't belong to us in a conventional sense. Yeah. Often you see living in community, people think, oh, well, this isn't mine, it belongs to the community, so I just use it any old way. Well, no, we've already offered it to the Buddha in our meditation. So are you going to use the Buddha's objects in any old way and leave them scattered on the lawn so that people trip on them, or are you going to put them away where they belong in a neat way and clean them and take care of them? Okay? Or the same goes for at your workplace. Yeah? You've already offered these things to the three jewels, so then it helps us really take care of stuff and not be so wasteful. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
I want to make sure I got this right. When you talked about offering the mandala in the context of developing concentration, you're offering everything, but are you focusing more on the body?
You're focusing on everything. Yeah? When you do the outer mandala, you think of possessions. When you do the inner mandala, you imagine your body transforming into the universe and offering it. Yeah? But it's very good when you're attached to your body, too. It's very good when you're attached to other people. You put them in the mandala and you give them to the Buddha. Yeah? And then you're going to sit and crave somebody who belongs to the Buddha? You might, I don't want to give them to the Buddha, I want them for myself. And then you think, is that person better off under the Buddha's guidance or under your possessive mind? Yeah? What's kinder to the Buddha, to the person? To be under your control and your possessive mind, or to, you offer them to be to the Buddha and think that they're under the guidance of the Buddha. Mm-hmm.
I had a question about in terms of when to do this. So would you recommend doing the concentration practice as its own kind of practice, or like if you're doing a daily practice, do it like right before when you do all the preliminaries?
If you're doing the concentration practice, you do this at the very beginning and then you do your concentration meditation. If you're doing a deity practice, this stuff comes within the deity practice.
Yes, I mean, just focus, like, in terms of, in the beginning, before you know, after you've done all the preliminaries. So just, like, take longer to just focus on the image of the deity. I'm trying to...
It's better if you ask, we're talking about concentration here.
Right.
If I start talking about a deity retreat, other people are going to get really confused. Yeah? Basically, you follow the sadhana. And you do what the sadhana says at the time it says that. Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Can you also give somebody your verse to the Buddha?
I'm giving up this jerk in my office. Buddha, you take him. Yes, it does say to give up objects of aversion. Okay? But when you do so, it's not like, you know, I'm getting rid of this guy. Okay. You're trying to give up your aversion. Uh-huh.
Do you have a recommendation for the size of the visualized Buddha and how far away from us it should be?
Okay, so they say with the visualized Buddha, maybe about a body's distance away from you. Now don't ask me, does that mean somebody who's 4 feet tall or does it mean somebody who's 7 foot tall? Just figure it out, okay? And as for the size of the visualized image, they say if you can make it the size of your thumb, that's good. But, you know, sometimes it's more helpful to make it bigger. Sometimes, you know, thinking of it a body's distance away is too far. You want to make it closer to you. That's okay. Yeah, so you kind of play with it and see what works for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The question was, I'm not sure, can I offer like my anger, all my problems that I have with, but in a sense like to really release myself?
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is okay to offer.
Yeah.
And for using love as an object of meditation, to get to that feeling, do the lam rim and go through the points?
Yeah, if you're going to use, let's say, one of the 4 immeasurables as your object of meditation, then you have to meditate on that to generate that feeling. And then that feeling, that experience becomes what you focus on. Okay? So if you're using love, you want to do the meditations to cultivate love. But of course, anger comes up in the middle of it. So then you have to apply the antidotes to anger. Okay. Yeah?
With the visualization, as opposed to an analytic type of a meditation, so we're visualizing the Buddha and our mind drifts from that image. Are we to think about different characteristics of the Buddha, as you were talking about Buddha's body, speech, and mind, or different aspects of the Buddha, or are we just trying to hold this visualization without thoughts, without verbalizations?
Okay. What we're trying to do in developing concentration is to hold the visualization, you know, single-pointedly, in detail. Okay, so that's the aim. Now, to get to that, yeah, we have to go over all the details of the visualization, and sometime in the process of doing it, then you do contemplate the qualities of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind. Okay? Because when you do that, then it helps that physical aspect of the Buddha becomes stronger in your mind's eye. Okay? I think it's good at this point to say that There's different types of meditation. One way of classifying meditation is into stabilizing meditation and analytical meditation. So the purpose of stabilizing meditation is to stabilize your mind on the object. In other words, to develop concentration on it. The purpose of analytic meditation is to understand the object. So when you're doing the analytic meditation, at least at the beginning, you're thinking about the object and examining it and investigating it and so on. Yeah. What's nice to do after you do the analytic, let's say if you're meditating on the Lam Rim, the stages of the path, is when you have some experience of the meditation, then you hold that experience with stabilizing meditation. Okay. Ultimately, of course, we want to, in the high stages, we combine serenity, which is on the side of stabilizing meditation, and insight, which is on the side of analytic meditation, and we want to have that on emptiness. But that's at very high levels, but that's where we're going. Okay? Mm-hmm.
If you're in the middle of a meditation, and you're starting to lose the image a little bit, is it helpful, like especially if you're sitting here in the hall, to open your eyes up and look at the Buddha, and then go back and close? Well, I don't mean open, just...
Yeah, if that's helpful to you, to open your eyes and again look at the figure of the Buddha and then close your eyes and remember it, that's fine. Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Is it okay to put the Buddha on top of your head and just always do it that way? Or is it much better to have the Buddha in front?
Well, I don't know. And they usually describe the Buddha in front, and when they come to doing concentration. But then in so many other practices, you have the Buddha on your head too. So I'm not sure. Maybe it just doesn't matter. Okay, now what gets in the way of concentration, there's two sets of obstacles. One's called the Five Hindrances, and the other one's called the Five Faults. Okay? So the Five Hindrances, we're going to go through those first because those I think you'll resonate with more strongly as they're explained. Okay, so the five main hindrances to developing concentration. First one, sensual desire. You had that one today? Okay. Second one, malice or ill will. You had that one? Third one is dullness and drowsiness. Sound familiar? Or are you asleep? Fourth one is regret and restlessness. And fifth one is doubt. Okay, so these are five hindrances that come up when we're trying to develop concentration. And it's really important to be able to identify them, okay, with your introspective awareness, and then to apply the antidote to them. Yeah, so you need to both identify and apply the antidote. So sensual desire is desire for sense objects, things that are attractive to your eye, things that sound good to your ear, things that smell good, yeah, things that taste good, things that feel good to your tactile consciousness. Okay, so we have lots of this sensual desire. In fact, this is our chief way of getting happiness in samsara, is we think that, the objects of the senses, if we can get them, the more we can get, then the happier we're going to be. And so we always want nice things to look at, so our house is decorated with pretty things, we wear nice clothes, and we decorate our body with jewelry, and we make sure we get the right glass frames that look really good, good. Okay, so objects of sight, objects of sound. We want nice music, not the music our parents heard, not the music our children heard. Just our generation's music, and we don't like other sounds. When we want sweet, ego-pleasing sounds, we want people saying, "Oh, you're wonderful, you're talented, you're so gorgeous, you're, a fantastic this and that, and you're so wise, and you're so sexy, and you're so, I love you, and on, and you're the best employee we've ever had, and blah, blah, blah." Okay, so nice objects of the year. We're pretty addicted to those. Yeah. Nice objects to smell. Yeah. Did you notice when we were doing the walking meditation going by the kitchen? What were you making this afternoon?
Tomorrow I'll make something else.
Yeah. Okay, so nice things to smell. Food, we're so, hooked on food. I like this food, I want this food, I feel like eating this food, I don't want that food. Yeah, we make a fuss at a restaurant if the food isn't just what we like. We go to the monastery, everybody wants to change the kitchen, it's not satisfactory. Okay, I always tell people when they move here, there's 3 things nobody likes: the schedule, the food, and the way we do the chanting, and the order of the prayers. So you get used to it. Because everybody comes in and they want to change those. Yeah? To make it what I like. Yeah. So I'm coming here to train my mind, but after I get everything I like. But training our mind is learning to be happy without getting everything we like. Okay. And then tactile things, So having a full belly, having the right temperature, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. We want people stroking our body, we want people touching our body in certain ways, not in other ways. We want a nice soft bed, but not too soft. We want it firm enough. Okay, we want clothes that are soft and, that feel good against our skin. And, always very picky about our body and the tactile sensations of our body. Okay, so these are objects of sensual desire, and attachment to these things, or the desire for these things, completely takes us away from our object of meditation. So did you notice that today? Did you stray to any sense objects?
The lasagna was really...
So did you stray to the lasagna before you ate it or after you ate it?
Well, the smell influenced the expectation.
Okay. So it sounds like mostly before. And then you dream about the lasagna afterwards. It tasted so good. Wonder if we could have some more tomorrow. Well, actually, the same thing 2 days in a row. I don't want that. Maybe the day after tomorrow. Okay. So, the sensual desire really takes us away. And we can sit and daydream about people for hours and hours. Sexual desire is one of the main, maybe the strongest of all the sensual desires that we have, and that one completely takes our mind into outer space, kind of daydreaming about this person and that person, and how do I look, and how am I going to attract them without making it look like I'm chasing them, and are they going to love me? Am I going to love them? What happens when this happens? What happens when that happens? It's a hassle, isn't it? Yeah. But boy, our mind is really hooked on it. Really hooked on it. Yeah, we even buy toothpaste based on, sexual desire for the person in the commercial. And hope that, with the right toothpaste, Prince Charming's finally going to come along. That toothpaste is going to do it. And if it doesn't, the laundry detergent will. And if it doesn't, then I have to wear a certain aftershave lotion or a certain perfume. Okay? Then I better get the right kind of, contact lenses or glass frames, and, I better tattoo my body. That'll make it more attractive. Yeah, better dye my hair, or, comb my hair in a certain way, or cut my hair, or grow it out, or, better lose weight, better gain weight, better change the places I bulge, And the mind goes on, entire meditation sessions on it, And then what you're going to do when you meet this perfect person, you're going to go here and that, and he's going to say this, and you're going to say that, and then just like the movies.
He's going to tell me to change my perfume because he doesn't like it.
Yes. Yeah. He's going to break up because he doesn't like your perfume. Okay.
The suffering on the other end of that, though, is real bad. I'm speaking not just from personal experience, but in my career as a lawyer, the things that people want, the people that they want, and the horrors after they get what they want, the expectation on the front end, and then the unbelievable disappointment on the back end, and then the cycle goes and does itself again, and you just, sometimes it's like you're banging your head against the wall and you're going, what am I doing? It's pretty, it's kind of funny to laugh about, but it's not really funny. I mean, when you're really in the middle of it,
it's horrible. Yeah. It's horrible. It's incredibly painful when you're in the middle of it. Yeah. That's why I think it's good to laugh about it, because we can see how stupid we are to get ourselves in the middle of it. Yeah. And yet how addicted we are to it. Yeah. This time it's going to be different. Yeah? Okay. So sensual desire. The antidote to sensual desire, one antidote is exactly what we've been talking about, the disadvantages. Think about the disadvantages. What happens to your mind when you get completely obsessed with an object of the senses? How uncontrolled the mind is, how dissatisfied the mind is. Really see the suffering involved in desire. We usually think desire brings happiness because, when we get it fulfilled, it seems like happiness. But before we get it fulfilled, we're really miserable. We're so dissatisfied. We want something and we can't get it. Okay, so remembering, the defects of this kind of situation and the suffering involved in it helps reduce our sensual desire. It's like if we have this national problem of people being in credit card debt, and that's because they're only thinking of the happiness they're going to get from buying the item. They're not thinking of how miserable they feel when they look at their credit card bill. And they're not thinking about how much money they're losing paying these extraordinary interest rates on a credit card. Okay. Okay? So the mind is not thinking clearly. It's only thinking about the immediate pleasure that we're expecting to get, and not about the long-term consequences. Yeah? And then you find yourself completely overwhelmed by debt, and it's like, you know, you feel like you're drowning. Okay, so we have to learn in those situations to think long-term, to unhook ourselves from this compulsion of immediate satisfaction. Yeah? And this is just, you know, we need to do this in order to live a sane, ordinary, healthy life, as well as to live a Dharma life. Yeah? Because we can see, you know, what happens. We're all addicts to sense objects. Some of us, our addictions are socially reprehensible. Others of our addictions are socially pleasing, so to speak. But they're all addictions. Yeah? You know? It's like, okay, it's legal to drink, it's illegal to take drugs. But they're both substance abuse, aren't they? Yeah. And I'm surprised to hear, did you know that more people in this country die of misuse of prescription drugs than they do of illegal drugs? Mm-hmm. That misuse of prescription drugs is a much bigger problem than the illegal drugs. Mm. That's really something when you think about it. Okay? So, you know, and then we have shopping addiction, we have sex addiction, we have gambling addiction, we have work addiction, you know, all these ways in which we get very, very imbalanced. And it's all in one way or another related to sensual desire. Okay? Another way, another remedy to sensual desire, instead of, you know, in addition to thinking about the disadvantages of its ramifications, is to think about the impermanence of whatever it is we're attached to. Yeah? Because we desire something, and how long does that object stay looking or being the way it is in its desirable mode? Yeah, where's that lasagna now, and what does it look like? Yeah? Does that lasagna, if you saw it right now, would you have the same craving for it? You'd probably scream and run away.
I'd be desirous of it again right now. I said I couldn't, even if I could.
You know, but you think of what we desire, and you know, think of it, how it's going to look after a while. I remember one time taking a teenage girl. We were at a park in Coeur d'Alene, and you know, when you're a teenager, you're just like a teenage girl like this, you know, for the guys, and a teenage guy like this for the girls, and or whoever it is you're sexually attracted to, gay, straight, it doesn't really matter. Desire is desire. So this girl was sitting there like this towards the boys, and I said, "What do you think he's going to look like when he's 80 years old?" You know? I said, is he going to be so cute and desirable then? Yeah? But it's true. Do we ever imagine the person we're so hooked on, what they're going to look like when they're 80? Yeah, think about it. Think about it. What are they going to look like when they're 80? Yeah, what they look like when they wake up in the morning is bad enough. But when they're 80, okay? You know, so think about these things. There's also a wonderful meditation that the Buddha taught, where you review the parts of the body. You do a body scan and look at the parts of the body and what they are. Yeah? I remember teaching this once in Singapore to a group of college students, and one of them looked at me and said, "If I really think that way, I'm not going to want to go out with my girlfriend anymore." And I said, "Well, this is why the Buddha taught it." So that you're not completely, sex crazed and out to lunch. Yeah, so it's very helpful, Look at what the body is. Look at whether we're attached to somebody else's body as a sex object, whether we're attached to our own body because we're clinging to just having a body as part of our identity. What is this body really? This is not some made-up weird meditation. It's just looking at what something is. What is it? Yeah. In Thailand, the Sangha goes to what do you call them? Autopsies. Yeah. And it's because it's a Buddhist country, so the doctors are very familiar with that. And you go and watch them do an autopsy, and it's part of your Dharma practice. When I was in Thailand, I went there, and some of the monks I went with were very concerned that I and another woman who was with me, that we would faint, because they fainted the first time. They went to the autopsy. And we said, no, if you work in the kitchen with your mom and your mom's not a vegetarian, you're chopping meat and, it's the same stuff. But it's really remarkable when they do the autopsy. They have like a scale, like the ones in the supermarket, with the dial and the little basket. And they'll take out the liver and throw the liver in, weigh it, and note it down, take it out, throw something else in and weigh it. That's all that's there, So really just trying to see what it is, and then the dramatic embellishment we place on this body disappears. Okay? So that's sensual desire. That's a big problem for us, yeah? So think about the disadvantage. Think about what the object really is, what it's going to look like a little bit later. Meditate on the impermanence of the object, how it's changing moment by moment. It's not going to remain stable like that. See its ugly aspects, undesirable aspects. See the problems that come from getting it. Yeah. And all of that helps your mind settle, and become a little bit more sober and not so excited by the sense objects. Okay? Then the second hindrance is malice or ill will. So, sensual desire is I like it, I want it, and malice is the opposite. I don't like it, get it away. Okay? So it can be towards an object, the lasagna when it's burnt. Okay? But it can also be towards anyone or anything that interferes with our happiness. And so, that can be almost anyone and anything, given the right circumstances. So the ill will or malice, it's a mind with aversion. We're annoyed, or we're irritated, we're angry, we're full of hatred, we're enraged, but really, wanting to destroy the object or wanting to get away from it. Yeah. So when we're not desiring things, another way our mind very often goes is into ill will. Yeah, into malice. Into thinking about how to destroy whatever it is that is making us miserable or interfering with us getting what we want. Yeah, and it's, generating this kind of mind is based on our self-centered discrimination. How something relates to me makes it desirable or undesirable. Okay? So something may be the cause of somebody else's happiness, but if that exact same thing interferes with my happiness, then I have malice towards it. Of course, I think that it in and of itself is something horrible, but it's not, because the same thing is somebody else likes. But my mind just, makes anyone or anything into an enemy. And we can spend a great deal of time nursing our hurts, nursing our wounds. Yeah, remembering all the betrayal that we've experienced, all the disappointment we've experienced, how people have interfered with our lives and stopped our pleasure and abused us and harmed us. And we can go on and on and on and on about all of this. Create a whole identity, spend most of our life having ill will towards other people and really wishing them to suffer. And what good does it do for us? Nothing. Nothing. When you spend a whole meditation session on ill will, remembering how somebody hurt your feeling, they did this, they did that, I can't stand it, why is it always me, this isn't fair, I was so hurt, I'm so damaged by what they did, how am I ever going to recuperate, I can't, I'm full of shame, I'm just worthless now, it's all this person's fault, I wish they would have the harm, somebody would give them the harm that they did to me, and then they would realize what they did and they would feel sorry for it. We can go on a whole meditation session on this. Believe me, I've done it, And at the end, the bell rings, and you go. What was that for? What did that accomplish? Yeah? What did that accomplish? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah, it's a really harmful habit, and we feel worse for it. Yeah, when we indulge our malice, our ill will, we feel worse. It's really very counterproductive. Yeah?
I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the realm of the desire realm, and then also in this other realm of the ill will, there's this place of obsessive thinking. It's an addictive kind of thinking. Yeah. And so, I have a particular situation, but it's like, in the morning, part of the prayers are to, whenever I, meet an obstacle that, I wish that I will immediately confront and avert it. Mm-hmm. And then trying to catch that, before it becomes the hour-long meditative session or the day-long, rumination or months or, whatever. It's like, and I think you've had a key to that of, that's, you're reinforcing that habit because, over and over again, you're replaying this hurt or da-da-da-da-da. And I just cannot find that place to grab that before it becomes full-blown.
Okay, so this is where introspective awareness comes in, and mindfulness too. When you wake up in the morning, put your mindfulness on the 4 immeasurables. Okay? Don't just wake up and see where your mind goes. Because if you're habituated with this, your mind will go to that. But wake up and consciously put your mind on the 4 immeasurables. And cultivate the 4 immeasurables. Hold them with mindfulness as you go through the day. Then, with introspective awareness, check up from time to time. Am I still cultivating the 4 immeasurables in my relationships with other people? Or am I not? And as your introspective awareness becomes more sensitive, more acute, then you become able to detect this ill will when it's first starting out, when you first strayed from the four mindfulnesses. If you catch it then, when it's still small, then you say, aha, this one, I know where this kind of thought's going to take me. I don't want to go there. And then you renew your mindfulness on the four measurables. Okay? So the trick is to catch it when it's small.
It almost feels like you're trying to smother it, you know, and it's all there somehow, you know, but maybe not.
Yeah. Well, if you direct your mind towards something positive and habituate your mind with something positive, you're breaking that habit of the mind going to something negative.
Right.
Okay? One of our difficulties is we tell ourselves, but the negative view is reality. That person really did do that, and I should feel this. Whereas the four immeasurables is not reality. That's just some kind of Pollyanna exercise we're trying to do to feel better. You know, if we have that view, we're not going to be successful. We really have to see that our negative view, our mind that picks on the faults of other people, that criticizes people, that dwells in our own misery, that's the mind that is not in tune with reality. And that the mind that meditates on the four immeasurables is the one that is in tune with reality. Yeah? As long as one part of our mind is still saying, but, they did this and that's true and I should feel that way, then it's going to be hard for us to get beyond that.
Oh, no, I can see it and I can say, that's not them, it's me. You know, it's my self-centered attitude that's creating this.
Yeah.
But it's still...
You catch it. You got to catch it.
I shall try harder.
Okay, good. And you'll do it.
But even if you're trying to catch it and someone keeps coming at you, or the situation, you feel provoked and you do it again and again, I find that part difficult.
Yeah.
If you start off and you catch it, but then you keep getting pushed and pushed.
Well, you know, then we have to ask ourselves, is it really the environment that's pushing us, or is it our habit that's pushing us? Yeah?
This is one of the places where we're taking notes. I have a little booklet, and I'm trying to increase my joy. So what I write in there is 5 times a day. I write down 5 things that, you know, I'm either glad about, I'm enjoying, or I'm satisfied about, and I write it down. You know, and I have to sometimes. Sounds silly, but sometimes I have to set a timer. So, okay, now it's time to, you know, put your joyful thought down. And part of what you're saying is putting your mind on the full mindfulness. When you're like me and your mind is weak, you know, it's easy to forget those. So you almost have to give yourself a little notebook and say, where's my mind at 2 p.m.? Where's my mind at 3 p.m.? Is it on this thing that I don't like, or is it on this one?
Yeah.
And that really works.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
Venerable Semke came down to Boise earlier this year and talked about imagining the sky filled with holy beings making offerings. And I think all of us in the room have dealt with what you just spoke about. And I think it's very helpful to make these offerings and to try and spread out as much love and compassion as you can, because I notice when I do that I forget the object of negativity. And when I do that for a couple of hours, I'm like, oh, that's awesome, I didn't think about that. And then you do start to go back to it, but then you use your antidotes again.
Yeah. So this is one of the effects. If you do that meditation of making offerings, imagining offerings and making them to the Buddha, it automatically makes your mind happy. Yeah. And when your mind's on that, then it's not playing the broken record again. Okay. Okay, so the sensual desire, ill will or malice. In the morning and evening guided meditations during this retreat, in each session you're going to deal with one of these. Okay? So I assume you did sensual desire in the morning. Tonight should be malice. Okay? Tomorrow morning will be drowsiness and dullness.
I like sloth and torpor better.
You like sloth and torpor better?
Well, I'm just curious, because the sloth, once I looked at some of your teachings, and it really applies to the lazy mind, the manana, the whatever, and then the torpor, just having that mind that continually goes off into sleepiness. Dullness and drowsiness, dullness doesn't have the same feeling as sloth. Does it have a lazy aspect to it?
Dullness is just mental dullness. The mind is dull.
So the sloth originally was also meant mind was dull or lazy? Because I've heard it called laziness before.
No, it's more that laziness is a result of dullness. Your mind is dull, there's no mental energy,
Okay.
so then your mind just spaces out. Okay? Because remember, laziness can be really busy too. Yeah? But this is specifically dullness, mental dullness. And then drowsiness is, well, Okay, so we'll talk about those a little bit more tomorrow. Okay? Good. So let's dedicate.
May the
Spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual masters be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Losang's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamyatayami. Due to this merit may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May the born have no decline but increase forevermore.